Welcome to a special TMS Insights. Jeremy Hook and Matt Salmon bring you some news, unexpected news that arrived this week from the ALP out of Canberra about their plans for changing the role of dividend imputation, one great benefit we've enjoyed across most of our clients, if they do win the election in 2019. So let's just give you a few key points about the takeaways from that announcement and what it means. Matt, again, franking credits, we're going to assume that our viewers understand how they operate. If they don't, do come back to us.
Yes.
But they've been a great benefit and allowed people in pension phase to get a nice tax refund at the end of the tax year.
Absolutely, yep, yeah. It's something all our clients would have enjoyed, especially in pension phase. Obviously, the changes to this situation are going to affect those in pension phase in the full tax-free environment. But even in accumulation phase, you're getting the benefit of those franking credits, which are wiping out the tax you could be paying from contributions or even the earnings in your fund.
Yeah, great. Yeah. So the elimination of this refund capacity is rewinding 18 years, which it's been operating since the Howard Costello government's made it possible to get a refund. So it's more or less taking away something which was a benefit rather than introducing something horrible of itself.
Exactly. It's been a benefit, I suppose, that Bill Shorten is arguing people are utilising probably more than they otherwise would have. It's something that people have structured and made strategies around, which they have to their benefit.
Definitely.
However, taking it away now is another thing they're doing, is changing the rules of superannuation.
Yeah.
One thing I think is very interesting is this doesn't just affect self-managed super funds. This affects anyone in pension phase, whether they're in a wrap situation or even in an industry super fund. You know, if you're in pension phase, you may not have been receiving as much from the franking credits, but you're getting a benefit from them while you're in that tax-free environment.
And it will affect individuals with shareholdings in their own names as well.
Absolutely.
So it would be fair to say that we're pretty opposed to the idea, and we don't think it's good policy in the way that it penalises something which actually created, in many ways, a level field for all investors. But it's also fair to say we don't know, like anybody else, whether in fact Labor will be elected and whether it will become policy. But we want to talk about it and work out a couple of factors that we can structure going forward just to preempt, again, the loss of that benefit.
Yes.
And I guess to begin with, Matt, we look at the franking benefit that we get across shares as being useful and ongoing, also in hybrids. And that's something we've just begun to pick up on, that hybrids, because they're great income securities but don't offer the growth, there may be some of these we need to talk to clients about.
Absolutely. And the nature of the distributions from hybrids, especially the bank hybrids, is that they're fully franked. So when they quote you a distribution amount, if you're getting 5.5% or so from a hybrid, a portion of that is the franking on it. So if we were to lose that franking, being in a tax-free environment, you're going to lose a certain percentage there each and every year. That will be repriced on the back of that, we would think. Obviously not everyone uses the full franking of the hybrids, but those in pension phase do, and they've been a favourite of the self-managed super fund. So certainly something to look at. And
we'll be looking at that in the near term as well as closer to and around and after any election, which might change those rules definitively. But let's just talk about shares for a minute, because there's been a little bit of commentary that's appeared about shares potentially being less favourable than other asset classes once a potential benefit like this is removed. Now, one thing that's been a real problem for the Australian managers of big companies is that incessant demand for ongoing increases in dividends. And almost this has been retarding growth, from Reserve Bank governors down. People have been talking about investing growth for companies, and they've been beating the investors here and saying, no, we're increasing dividends. Now that won't be the same sort of thing. So in a very unusual way, it could be very good for companies.
Yeah, very positive. A lot of the retained earnings going back into building the companies up rather than paying it out, because that's what the company heads believe shareholders are looking for. Which up to this point has been the case a lot.
That's right, that's right. So in Australian shares, I guess we get cash income, we get franking credits and growth. And again, there may be a loss of one of those three, part of the franking credit, but the overall benefit of the other two will mean that shares in Australian companies are going to remain very popular.
Absolutely. And this is one thing we have to look at again is total return. You know, what we may do as managers of portfolios is look at more ways that we can get capital growth rather than, you know, an income stream that has a large franking credit attached to it. So it will be something we'll be looking at changing strategy potentially as things go. But it's certainly, you know, it's not out of the box. We can do it one way or another from that point of view.
Yeah, that's a discussion we'll have client by client and work through that. Just talking quickly though about other asset classes, international shares probably relatively more favourable, and again a discussion point is worthwhile having with your advisor about that. And some of the trusts, some of the infrastructure and the REIT. So
they're paying unfranked distributions.
And even some of the subordinated notes in that interest rate security category. Same thing again.
Absolutely.
To talk outside this, the thing we want to leave our clients with, I guess, as a takeaway is that this is something we're already looking at, trying to position for where we can, but it's going to be ongoing, Matt. It
definitely will be. And as the news changes on whether this, you know, the odds will shorten, so to speak, absolutely. And as they do, we'll be able to decide more and more which way we want to position portfolios. I think it's also making sure the weightings are correct in portfolios. You know, you don't want to be overweight certain bank hybrids. We want to revisit that weighting for each client depending on their situation.
So there's a lot of tailored solutions we've got to do around the structuring of the overall strategy and the entity we use. And the asset allocation, particular investments. So quite a bit of work for us to do, which we weren't expecting. But this is the world of markets and politics. So, but ultimately, I guess to see whether this will ever happen, the bookies have installed Bill Shorten and ALP clearly as favourites at this point. I think 28 out of the last 28 news polls have favoured ALP. But that's no definite thing, Matt.
It's not, and I think a lot more will come out of the woodwork about this and how many people are affected. Bill Shorten saying it's a small, wealthy population who own self-managed super funds. I think it's a lot more broad than that.
Definitely.
So I think as that comes out, it will change the numbers a bit,
Well, that's all we've got time for on this Insights, just to bring you those updates of those possible changes, the announcement out of Canberra, and we'll be watching that and in touch with you. But if, of course, you've got any questions, get in touch with us.